Good afternoon. Thank you for joining me for this session. We'll just leave a minute or two for people to come in, but so I've been told you can maybe see when I have the chat open, but that way I can see who is here and where you're from and maybe what other sessions you've seen, either today or in the weekend at the language show. So my name is Caroline. Nice to meet you. Oh, Sam, that's dedication. Well done. Hopefully you found all your sessions interesting so far. We're being a little bit international. I've been to Hungary. I love it. Hello, bonjour, everyone. Just going through who we have with us. Thank you for joining. We'll leave people a little bit longer just to make sure that they manage to join without any issues. Oh yes, Esmeralda is amazing as well. So I know her session was really interesting, and the other ones that I've seen as well. Oh, thank you. Hello, everyone. It's great to see so many people, and I'm glad we'll be able to exchange on this topic of vocabulary. So I've been told that it shows the chat when I'm presenting. So what I'll do is I'll put the chat aside, and then I'll come back to the chat once in a while. So forgive me if I don't see your comments straight away, but I will do my best to answer every question that you've got, and I'll and hopefully we'll manage to share a lot of ideas for vocabulary today. So I'll start my presentation now. Yes, and then this is perfect. Okay, so my name is Caroline, and I've been teaching mostly French, but just languages in general for a bit more than 10 years now. And I'm sharing a lot of ideas also on my Twitter account. So if at the end you want to have a look at that, I've got a few links where I'm sharing different ideas. But I thought I would talk about the different games that I do to practice vocabulary and make sure that it gets in the student's mind, because it's one of the most important and also difficult things to do, I suppose. This is sort of what I do, and I look forward to seeing what type of things you do and exchange with you on this. So I've got different sections with, first of all, I thought it would be interesting to share with you the whole class games that I do that don't require much prep or no prep at all. And of course, a lot of these games, I've had inspirations here and there. When I know of a particular inspiration, I'll tell you, but it's some of them you will know already, because they're done quite a lot in the MFL community, and maybe hopefully you'll discover a few cool ideas that you'll try as well. So spelling, I think, is quite an important element in the vocab learning. So it can be, doing like little spelling bee competitions just on the spot, or it can be with a slide like this, where you just, shuffle the letters around, and students need to find the correct spelling to and find the word. Sometimes I even do that with like a little code. So maybe the first letter of each word, well, not the article, but the first letter of each word would spell like a password that they need to tell me to see if they won, or like a little competition to it. But if you want it, without prep, just on the spot, who can spell this word and who's going to be the quickest. I do Splat as well, now that we are, back in class and not online, because it's a bit harder, obviously, to do this one online. But if you don't know it, so you have two sides to your class, and they sort of compete against each other. And on your board, you would have two sides with the exact same images, and one student from each side needs to go in front of the board and be the quickest of the two to tap the correct image from the word that you're mentioning. And then they win a point for their side, and it's like a little side competition. And students usually love that as well. And you just, for yourself, you just need to, copy and paste a couple of images. Took me 2 minutes to make that one. Another one that's really good as well, so is just beat the teacher. So after I presented, for example, this topic of, how do you give the, how do you talk about eyes and hair, etc. I just keep my images, but just put letters instead of the words. And then I point to a particular image, say the word. If I'm correct, the class needs to repeat. If I'm not correct, the class needs to not make a noise. And then depending on whether they get it right or not, if they do the correct action, they get a point. If they don't, I get a point, and they need to be better than me, and they need to get to, let's say, 5 points before me. Sorry, I saw there was a question. I'm just going to try and see how to go back without removing the whole thing, but maybe I can't do that. Hang on. Here we go. Okay, I'll try and think about that, Annette, about classes that are online, yes, as I go, because some of it might not work. But for this particular one, you can still do it online, I think, except that you might want to ask them to tell you in the chat which letter you're talking about, something like that. So you've got also a couple of games that maybe you're playing already, but I loved from Leo Languages blog, so I'm just sharing them with you. But it's like sort of adapted existing games, and again, really no prep except having the vocab in your head. So pointless first. You ask everyone in the class to write down 5 words from a set vocab list on the mini whiteboards, for example. And once that's done, they can change their words, but you go through the words. So you go first through the words that the teacher shows, and whoever has the same words, they get 5 points, because you might have chosen like the easy words, and they have only chosen the easy words as well. So they get more points if they choose the same as you, and it's a bit of a chance thing as well. If they choose the same as some classmates, then they get 3 points. And if they've got an original word that maybe only one other person in the class has chosen, they get 1 point. And then we count how much they've got, and it's actually the player with the lowest score that wins. So you need to have as many original words as you can from the list, and it makes the retrieval quite interesting and like a nice little game that they like, and it doesn't take any preparation for it from you. Similarly, really, with the poker face sort of translation game. So you will give them on the board, you will give them, or just speaking, you will give them some words or some sentences to translate. And the idea is students need to put up their answers, if they know the answer, but they're allowed to bluff and put their hand up anyway, even if they're not sure. Now, as the teacher, you choose a random student from the ones who have their hands up to answer the question. If they get it right, they get 1 point. If they get it wrong, they lose all of the points that they had so far. And then at the end of your timer, of course, the student with the most points is the one winning the game. So again, if you just, tell them random words or random sentences that you make up on the spot, that's a nice little one that they get quite competitive about. So I also use quite a few games that do require some prep, but I don't mind that because they can always be reused the following year, or sometimes with like a different class or year group. So I think like building up on those is a nice way to just have a bank of fun games that that work well, and then you can just reuse. So I'll go through all the ones on there. So crosswords or word search or that type of thing, I usually do really quickly with one of those websites that I can put the link in the chat for you. Let me just open it. And as you can see, hopefully on the screen, you enter a title for your puzzle. You say, you know, how many letters you want and sort of what data you want. And then you just put your words here and hit create my puzzle, and you will have a nice little word search. And then similarly for the crosswords with this website, for example, I mean, there are others, but if you like that one, it works. I think it works well. So again, you just literally put the title, put your words and the clues, and then when you're ready, and you've chosen your font, etc., you just click make the crossword puzzle. So I like those because they're quite straightforward, I think. And then once you've got it, you can present it on the computer, you can print it out, and it's a nice way to retrieve the vocab, because they have some help, but they still need to think quite a lot about what's the correct word. There are some sorting activities that I like to do as well. Sorry, I'm just going to move that around. I haven't figured out how to get rid of it completely yet. I'm trying to get it not in the way, maybe at the bottom here. So you can give them a list of words on the topic and then make them sort out in either color or activity, or in this case, the style of food that it is, just to work at the same time on the spelling, because they have to rewrite the words, but also on the sorting and knowing which category they belong to. So it works well for food in particular, but it can work as well for schools. So you give them a list of words and they have to find the subjects and the rooms and the activities, etc. So I've got some inspiration as well, of course, from Gianfranco Canti and all the work that he does around lexical grammar. So this is an activity that I like a lot in terms of helping with vocab, because it takes a lot of brain power as well, but it also works towards building up sentences. So random words randomly around on the board, and they will make up 4 sentences that you can see on my next slide here. So this is the slide that the teacher would use, and they read that sentence. Number 1, for example, ils mangent du jambon et du fromage et ils boivent de l'alcool. And students need to find where the elements are on the board and then write them down correctly in the correct order. I found that with weaker students or younger years, you might want to give them the order and tell them, so all the sentences start with the bit in white, then it's that color and that color, so that they know that this is what they expect in terms of pattern. Another sentence, so I put an example with sentences, but I do the example as well. I do it with words as well, like lists of words. So sentence stealer is a really nice speaking activity where so students, they choose 3 or 2 of the numbers with your list of words or your sentences, and they write it down. And then they go around the room and they need to say the sentence that they think the other person have chosen. If it's correct, then they get to steal the sentence and take the paper away from the other student with that sentence on it. So they have a timer, and after 5 minutes, for example, whoever has the most sentences in their hands or the most numbers for the list of words, that's the winner. And again, I like that one as well because it can either be you're working on pronunciation, you're working on vocabulary, you're working maybe on sentence structure as well. So it's building up sort of to the next level, I would say. Similarly, I work a lot with the sentence builders. So we're still with sort of inspiration from the Conti method, but so sentence builders are great for, you know, building up your speaking, etc. But they're also great for spotting vocabulary, getting acquainted with the vocabulary. So what I do sometimes is I either give a list of sentences that I've prepared in advance, or just on the spot, go random in English and ask students to write down what the French version is of what I just said. And then changing around from the masculine to the feminine as well, which is quite useful to work on the differences between the two, because that's where students often get a little bit sort of confused sometimes. Again, I work a lot with the sort of repeat again type of activities, also for vocabulary. So it's linked. I think a lot of the sessions today or the ideas are linked together anyway, because we never really do something just for the sake of just vocabulary or just speaking or just writing. But this one I do to develop writing and speaking, of course, but also for focus on vocabulary again, pronunciation, because they need to hear the correct one, and memory of the different words, because if they're a little bit unlucky and they have to keep guessing, they go back over a lot of words. So if you don't know the game, you have a little text on the board, but some of the words are in boxes with a choice, and students first need to choose. Either you can print a copy or you can tell them to write A, B, C, D. Sometimes I do that. So choose one from each box, and then they play with their neighbor who has to guess what they have chosen. In order to guess, you need to say the whole text. If you're correct, you can continue. If you're not correct, you have to go back from the start and say the whole text again. So they might end up saying the text 3, 4, 5 different times until they manage to get to the end, which means that they've worked on a lot of vocabulary in that time. Another activity that students really like and doesn't take much time to prepare is from the same sentences. So I often do maybe a sentence stealer and then a bob-up, or a repeat again and then a bob-up. So you have a list of sentences on the board, and you attribute it to different students, and you cut your class in two again, and each side has one of the numbers at least, or sometimes several times the same number. A teacher can say the sentence in French. That's for key stage 3. Sometimes I say the sentence in English, and they have to recognize this is my sentence before repeating it. And the idea is to stand up the quickest, repeat the sentence or say the sentence in the foreign language, and whoever is the quickest gets a point for their team. And by the end of the game, the team that has the most points, of course, wins the game. Okay, I'll have a look if we have any maybe questions at this stage, because I haven't looked at the chat in a while. Sorry if you can see, but I'm going to go back on the slides. So Aparna was asking about beat the teacher again. So I'll go back to that one. So you're playing against the class, really, as in you want to model and then to repeat what you're saying, but you put a little bit of a game element to that. So instead of just going, oh, A is les yeux bleus, B is les yeux gris, etc., you go random, and you sometimes say the wrong one. So if I went for K, for example, and I said, elle a les cheveux blonds, they can't then repeat, because if they repeat that and it's wrong, I get a point as the teacher. So students are supposed to only repeat what are the things that are correct that I say. And if they repeat when I'm wrong, then I get a point. And then Andrew, for the rock, paper, scissors, sorry, so I'm back from that one. So this is just really like to decide who's going to speak first, because in this game, you play once with the same person, and then you move around, because otherwise you know which sentences they have. So you can easily steal all the sentences from one person. So it's better to play with different people. So when you get to a next person, rock, paper, scissors, I'm the first one to guess. If I guess wrong, then it's your turn to guess, and then we move on to a new partner. Thank you, Joanna. I'm glad you like the ideas. Let's see what's in the chat, because hopefully you've responded to each other if you saw it before me. Sorry about that. I'm going to go back up a bit. So for the crosswords, etc., I believe, yes, some of them can be exported as PDF. You have to maybe look around, but I often do screenshots. And then the websites are free, yes. For the sorting activity, unfortunately, it's not. I haven't found a website. I haven't looked for one. I just have like an example slide that I keep, and I just populate the slide with different vocabulary depending on what I like. But there is another website that I will show you in a minute. I have another section with online games. So there is a website for sorting activities. Learning apps is a good one that I'll show you in a minute. Flippity is really good as well. Yes, yes, I guess the point, Anita, I like the point about, depending on your classes, I guess you adapt what you're doing to what they like. So I know I have a couple of classes who absolutely love Bobbit, and then some classes who are really, really not impressed when it starts like this. So I've done it a couple of times, and now I've moved on to something else that they enjoy instead. I'll talk about word in a minute, Fabian, and hopefully it will make sense for people who don't know it. And oh yes, sorry, I just saw Jane had answered for me about the rock, paper, scissors. Bob-up, yes, I allocate some sentences to the students before myself, just so it's quicker. And doing something special with the points. Sometimes I do. Sometimes the competition for the site is we have a system of positive points and negative points in our behavior system. And sometimes I say, well, whoever wins the game, whichever side wins the game, is going to have some positive points. Or I have like a half-term sort of little challenge, and I keep a tally on my board, which side is ahead, and then at the end of the half-term, I get them some sweets, for example. But I find that it's also quite good to just, yeah, we've won the game. That's a nice reward. We're happy with that, but I know it doesn't always work like that, unfortunately. Sentence stealer. I go around the room quite a lot when they're playing that, so I can see the cheeky ones who try and always go back to the same people and just direct them to someone else. And I'll go on to translation maze now, so I can explain what it is, and then we'll move on to the online ideas. So that's where I had stopped. So wait, let me get rid of this so you don't see. Here we go. All right. Okay, so translation maze looks like this. So it's an activity, it takes a bit more prep, this one. But again, I guess once you've got your template, you can reuse. So you print this element on the side for students every time you play. They have to choose a bit like a bingo game, if that makes sense, where the numbers go. So there are 37 spots in the honeycomb, so they just number them wherever they want. And then I have a list of questions on the board, and they can choose to answer. Sorry, I'm going to show you what it looks like. They can choose to answer either question 1, which is a translation into English, or question 2, which is a translation into Spanish. Depending on what they choose, and if they have the correct answers, it will reveal which number they're allowed to color in. So if they chose question A, they can color in number 3. And if they chose question B and they got it right, they can color in number 12 in this example. And if they had time to do both in 1 minute, they can color in both. And the idea of the game is that after maybe 5, 10 questions, there should be some students who have colored in a path from the in to the out of the maze. And the winner is the person who gets out of the maze the quickest, or if you want to have it on a time limit, gets the closest to the end of the maze. So the quickest way you can do it is having seven in all together from in to out straight, but they can also go on the side. So if they go in, right, left, down, right again, down, etc., eventually they'll get to the out, if that makes sense. And then every time you have a question, you have a different number, obviously, underneath hidden that they can color in. And if they're quick with their translation, then they color in 2 numbers at once, so they're more likely to win. All right, I'll have a look at online game, but I want to see if I have some more things to answer. First, translation maze. Yes, it can be a little bit long, but not necessarily. I would say, yeah, maybe about 10 minutes, because you want to answer at least 5, 6 questions. So yeah, 10, 15 minutes. Template was made by one of my colleagues for this particular game, and then I just sort of translated it and kept the template for like different topics. Translation, I think it's easier for me to see if they were right if they write it on their mini whiteboards, but it could work in the books as well. But it's less easy to follow, I guess. Yeah, they can have any line they want as long as they get from the in to the out at some point. Yeah, and it doesn't have to be all straight. And that's why it's, I guess it works for different people, because even whatever the number is there, then it works. Yes, Rosie, I'll send a link to the PowerPoint with the resources if that helps afterwards. Oh, I never thought about doing the maze in teams. I guess maybe it could work, but I do it individually. Yes, Anita, I know we introduced Blooket in our school, and then now all the other sort of subjects are also doing it. So I'm excited to show you these as well. So I'm going to go through like loads of online things that either have, well, actually all of them have pre-made documents, so you can just, you know, search for your topic and find something that was made already, or you can make your own. So Word War is really cool because you can create a lot of different games, and once the game is created, you can also change what it is that you want students to do with it. So you can see on the right, for example, this was originally meant as a sort of beat the computer type of exercise, where they have to find the word for the body parts with the list amount of hits and the correct letters, but you can change it from hangman to random wheels or word search or anagram, and it's going to be the same. You prepare the exercise only once. Students also love the whack-a-mole one, where they have to only hit the moles if they follow the example, which in this case is what's in my pencil case, or is this the correct element? Now the downside to WordWall is that with a free subscription you can only create up to 5 games, and then afterwards you have to have a paid subscription. But I found another website which doesn't have quite the same ones, but loads of similar things, which is called Educa Play. And this one has a lot more to do on the free version. So I use a bit of both, really. Learning app, someone was mentioning in the comments, this is really easy to prepare as well. You've got a range of activities again. So from match up, order the things, drop down, fill in the gaps, multiple choice, crosswords again, place things on the map, all of that is possible. And you get feedback as well, sort of which ones were correct, like you can see on the left, and which ones you need to try again. Again, there's loads of ready-made games on there, so you just use the taste and the search engine, and you can make your games quite easily as well if you just click Create App, and then you choose from a template, and you just fill in the different elements that you want to include, and then your game is created to tailor what you need if you didn't find one that you liked that was already made. So let's see what we have. Oh yes, Serena, I think Beehive game, yeah, it's a similar game, absolutely, and that works well when it's in teams, you're right. Oh, sorry, I feel like I'm going a little bit quick, maybe, if people can't have what the names of the places are. So yeah, I'll share the presentation when I finish, so that you have the links as well. I'll put it in the chat. So if you don't know Flippity, I use it quite a lot as well. So it's a website that helps you create activities, like interactive activities, from an Excel spreadsheet. So you go on the website and you choose your template again, and you can have something like this example of manipulatives, where students have to move the things to the correct place. So obviously on my presentation you can't do it, but when you click on the link, this is how it appears to you. And so the highlighted ones are the ones that are the titles, so you put them at the top or in the middle, because there are several titles, and I'm not going to be able to put all of them in the same place. So if you want to put this, and then masculine plural, and then feminine plural, so this one goes here, this one goes there, etc. It doesn't give you the answer, this one, but it's a nice way to work on the board, or to have student works maybe on their computers if they have computers for you, and then you go back to them and check their work. I haven't struggled with Flippity that much. They were down for a while after some upgrades from Google, but they have worked a lot on updating all of their spreadsheets so that it now works again. So I think some spreadsheets might not be working, but this one I did a few days ago, and it was working. So where it can be in a computer room, remote learning, definitely. It can also be just you on the board and they tell you where things go. I'm just going to dismiss so I can, because otherwise I get the element popping up on my screen again. So that's sort of flippity. You do it in Google Sheets or directly on the website, and then students access the game version from a different link that you give them. Another lovely online tool is Genially. So I found this template, which is from, oh, sorry, I forgot their name. Oh, it escapes me. I will put the link. Some companies have templates that you can use on Genially to do some vocab work. So this one, for example, I just changed the question. The pop-it thing was already there, and if you click on my link again, so it brings you to like a little pop-it board, and usually the students know the rules, but I'm not sure if everyone knows, so I'm going to tell you. So this game that they play, you know, all around the school, they play in pairs, and they can pop as many bubbles as they want on one line, but they can't be the last one to pop a bubble. So you need to sort of be strategic, etc. And in this online version to learn some vocab, you add some questions. So they pop a bubble, they need to answer the question before they can choose to pop another one or not. I'm sure you've heard of it, but you never know. I love using QUIZLET for vocab learning. So you can have, again, you can either make your own list, or you can find ready-made lists. You can use, you know, definitions, synonyms, antonyms, sort of quotes even. I do for Key Stage 5. And they learn it with the flashcards, or they learn it with the different games that you have on the site. And then obviously the favorite is when you play a live game. So that has to be set by the teacher, and students join the game with a code. And then they have to find the correct word from a list of 4 options. But if you play in teams, they don't always have the words in front of them. Sometimes someone else in the team can see the work, and they can't. So they need to be a bit careful. Do I actually have the answer or not? Let's see what people are saying. Yes, Maria Leroy is involved in Whiskey, but I was thinking about the other one, and I still can't remember what their name is. Wait, it must be on my slide. Hang on. So if I go to the example, because I always quote them. So, oh, Sandbox, here we go. Sandbox Education are the ones who made the templates, and I just added the correct questions. So if you go to their website, they have so many lovely templates in Spanish originally, but you can find your way around, and they have some of the models in English as well. Sorry, I didn't mean to forget their names, but then it came back when I managed to go on the link. I had forgotten that was an option. So for Quizlet Live, this is how it works for them. So, you know, join, then you wait for your students, and then you see who is ahead live, and that's the most sort of motivating element of it. And then there are some more competitive games as well. So someone mentioned in a comment Blooket. I like Kahoot as well still, but Blooket is like the next level engagement, I suppose, from Kahoot. So so compared to Quizlet Live, Kahoot and Blooket, it's all sort of the same idea of multiple choice questions. You can use ready-made resources again. On Blooket, what I like is that you can import from Quizlet. So if you have made a Quizlet with the vocab you need, then you just import, and in 10 seconds, your quiz is ready. Or you can create your own questions, and that's what I like to do as well, with like narrow reading questions, where you focus on making the spelling slightly different, or, you know, false friends, or what's the correct conjugation, or what's the correct agreement, that type of thing. So I'll just show you a couple of questions, maybe from the Blooket, because maybe less people know Blooket. I'm not sure I can log in with this account. yeah, I don't have an account with that one. I have it with my school email, and I'm not on my school email right now. And I need to make it less, and I need to make the Kahoot that I shared with you not private, and it will work when you try and see it. So I'll change that setting after. Why? Oh, is it because it's not this Kahoot? So sorry, I wanted to, oh, right. No, not kahoot.it, kahoot.com. Sorry. Little. Okay, it doesn't want to. Never mind. So on these websites, you've got like a question, and it's a timed thing, and they play against each other, and you have a leaderboard available. And yes, I can see loads of people love Blooket and have been playing Blooket, so that's amazing. And they do, yes, the engagement with Blooket is the most is the best one I've noticed as well, because basically on top of having a leaderboard, they get to sort of interact with each other, and so if there are some sweets to be won, they can sort of snatch some sweets away from other people. They can sometimes they get no sweets from their reward, sometimes they get loads of sweets, etc. So they like the idea that it's not just how many answers you answer correctly, but also a little bit of chance. Right, I know I was going a bit quickly through some of these, so if you have any questions, I think now would be a good time. Yes, absolutely, thank you. Kahoot, Blooket, to an extent Quizlet, you can set homework on by giving students, so you can do them live in front of the class, and they need a computer. Unfortunately, they need a computer to respond to that. But you can also set it to be done at another time, and they can just do homework on it, which is amazing, I agree. So is there anything that I forgot that didn't quite make sense that you want to ask me about? Anything that you use and I haven't mentioned, because I'm always keen on getting some more things. Yes, I loved Spiral as well. I mean, it was really, really lovely to use during lockdown for like people to tell me some elements. I agree. Oh, quizzes, yes, for online quiz. I've heard of it, but I haven't actually used it for the moment. But if you recommend, I guess that's going to be my next one to look at. Flipgrid I've seen. I'm not sure it would work in my school because I've heard of some issues maybe with GDPR, etc. But I need to look into it more. So I hope you found it useful to see what I'm doing with my classes. If you want to see some of my resources and sort of just like some of the things that I shared with you today, you can find them on those links that I'm going to put in the chat as well. So I'm just going to put links in the chat, and then I will also put the link to my presentation in the chat. I'm going to do that one now. Here we go. I've got the Wakelet as well, where I share some of my templates. So since some people were asking about the templates, and if you want some of the templates from Geniali, it's over here for the ones I've made. Oh, thank you. I'm glad people found it useful. Oh, box game, absolutely, yes. That's a really nice one. Thank you for explaining what it is as well, for if people don't know that one. And thank you very much for tuning in with me. Oh, sorry, I know why. I sent the links to only I didn't change my I didn't change my settings and it was sending only to the panelists. Thank you for letting me know. So that should be better now. So 1, 2, 3. Oh, thank you, Amelia. That's very kind of you to say how. I'm glad you found it useful. Okay, I think that's all my links. They should be visible now, hopefully. And I'll just see, I have a. Oh, Sophie, I think I've answered your question, but just in case, yes, for Blooket, unfortunately, yes, they need to have iPads or laptops sort of available with them in the session. I can see someone has put their hand up. I can't give you speaking, unfortunately, but if you want to put your question in the chat and or in the Q&A, and I'll have a look right now to see if I can answer. Oh, thank you everyone for your feedback. I really appreciate that you're enjoying this. So I can't see any more questions. So I think maybe we'll just end it up for today. And I think that I was told this was the last session. So enjoy the rest of your Sunday. And yes, someone asking, yes, I am on LinkedIn with my name, Caroline Guiton. So if you can find me with MFL written down. Thank you, everyone. Yes, hang on, let me try. So I'll stop sharing my screen and I will retrieve my presentation from feedback. And I'll share that again here for people who are interested. Where is the chat now? Here you go. The second link I'm sending, that's the feedback session that I did earlier. Thank you very much, everyone. And I think we can say goodbye for now and have a nice end of the weekend.